my story is about caves, men, and limestone. Stone has been quarried from these hills, the Mendip Hills, for longer than history records. And for all those centuries, men never guessed what was hidden beneath their feet. Galleries, vaults filled with shapes and colours, and the streams that had carved them, cutting deeper, seeking new pathways through the dark heart of the limestone. In the eastern Mendips, where wooded river valleys wind between the hills, there is a rising of underground waters called St Dunstan's Well. Close by, and created by those same waters, is Fairy Cave. Monks from nearby Downside Abbey were Fairy Cave's first known explorers. I wonder what they felt as their candles flickered in the chambers. Did they marvel at God's hidden creation, or fear they were on some dark path to the realm of Satan? Years ago, the first cavers came to Fairy Cave. Led by the pioneer explorer Herbert Balch, they crawled and squeezed through every winding. Was left to wait, its silent darkness seldom disturbed as the years passed, until, finally, there came a sound of thunder. Fairy Cave Quarry was just one of the many that began their work in the post-war years, all striving to supply the stone that would rebuild bomb-scarred cities. It was just a few years later, in the mid-1950s, that my caving began. I did what young cavers do, got muddy in the caves of Burrington Combe, then discovered the Hunter's Lodge at Priddy, and learnt what being a caver really meant.
We came to a boulder painted round, the sign on it was upside down, singing Boulder crunch on me, Boulder crunch on me. The leader said with a puzzled frown, that weren't there the last time down, singing Boulder crunch on me, Boulder crunch on me.
I joined a newly formed club, the Cerberus Speleological Society, and made new friends, like Mike, who oversaw my baptism in Swildens.
That's you done, mate.
And then showed me the vastness of GB Cave.
What do you think of that then, boy?
Amazing.
Boy, Chris!
Chris, who took me to Fairy Cave Quarry for the first time. The quarry, chewing its way through the hillside, had recently broken into Hilliers Cave.
Here you go, Brian. Serious. Drop there, is it? Just a bit.
It wasn't what I expected. Not some short, grotty crawl, but a long walking passage.
I'm shocking you, Chris. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Right. Obviously, we're following the stream, if there was one. Must have come through here.
If this was just part of a system that fed St Dunstan's well, then what else was waiting to be discovered? That's when I learnt the skill of cave surveying.
Very good. Yep, and that little novel there, yeah? Okay, I was just tightening them there. 42. Okay, fine, so that's your bearing there, 60. So we put that in, we've got to carry on this.
And then later,
This section.
the art of turning those columns of smudged figures into an accurate map. A year or two passed, and as the quarry worked southwards, more caves were revealed.
Over here.
We became regular visitors thanks to our good friend Ted Garlick, the quarry manager.
I nearly lost my foreman down there.
We'll be careful. There we go. How's it looking, Mike? It's looking good. Come on down. How's it looking?
Yeah, looking good. Chamber, it's about 60 feet long, leading through to another one with a crawl ahead.
Any formations?
Yeah, there's one or two.
Just a few little ones? Come on, you buggers, what you found? It's got the biggest curtain I've ever seen in my life.
We called it Fern Hill Cave, but just a few months later, as the quarry worked on, a spoil tip blocked the entrance and we were left with nothing but a photograph. We named the next cave Garlick's Rift, after our friend Ted. It was short, but had some fine formations. Ted's cave didn't last long. The quarry giveth, the quarry taketh away. We couldn't complain. The owners were good to us. They even gave us an old cottage near the quarry to be our club base. I mapped every cave. They formed a line heading south, and they were so close they had to link. Hilliers to Fairy, Fairy to Fern Hill. They all had to be part of some bigger system, and they seemed to be leading towards, well, something. Then we had a call from Ted.
Morning, boys.
And so, on the 5th of November, 1961...
Near all, top of the face. Yeah, what does it look like? It's pretty big. It's above the others, near the top.
Yeah, right, you better check that out then, lads. Okay, I'm safe enough. Just see someone go down the road.
Well, I knew I was here for a reason. Okay.
There, dear partner. Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Well, it went for about 50 feet, and it looks like it's still going. This is a gold pig, right?
Speed. Right,
Let's go and explore. Let's wait for you, chaps.
still going, just keep going.
That was the moment when we knew this was no ordinary cave. When we first saw erratic passage. Erratic passage. It took its name from the exquisite crystals that grew from every wall. A few paces on, I was looking down into Cascade Chamber.
Big clock here, and in the road. Cool, we're ready now. Yeah.
If we hadn't had that rope, Mike and I would probably have jumped down. We had cave fever so badly. We saw that crawl leading off and we were away.
Yeah, so the passage going, that's all right on.
Hey, it's a big passage down there.
We'll try it for a minute then. Yeah, climb down. Keep it going.
Keep it going,
Yeah,
Come down a bit. Okay, not too bad. Stay close here. Right?
Yeah, we're down. Excellent.
Hey, look. There's two ways. Which cross passage?
Let's go this way. This way. Yeah, go. Never seen so much flex there, Connor.
This passage over to the shape.
Rather inclined, isn't it?
Yeah. Quite where it is. So, Joanne, mate, where do you come from? You go down the climb then? No, that looked pretty dodgy. Was that the way you come? Yeah.
The passage goes the other way down the bottom of the climb as well.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Just like a sort of like upside down bulrush. That's fantastic. Oh, Brian, you want to see this? Anyway, Brian, how it doesn't go when I close it down. Look at this. Looks like a bulrush.
Yeah. Got to be bulrush way, isn't it?
Yeah, bulrush
Just take
way.
the other way out, shall we? Yeah, cool. That's what we came down. Drops down here. It's going.
How's it going, Brian?
I'll let you come up a bit. It's a bit wet though.
What is it? Let's have a look.
It's wet anyway. Would you reckon you go for a pint?
I see what you mean, yeah, it is a bit wet. Well, we pushed far enough for today, haven't we? So we can come back and it's still going and we'll save some for the next time.
Let's go get a pint.
Yeah, let's grab a pint.
As we left the cave, we tried to choose a name for our wonderful discovery. One idea was inspired by the date, Guy Fawkes Cave, but then we remembered old Balsh, who had died just a couple of years past. Here was a cave worthy of that pioneer, and so we chose the name Balsh's Cave. A new member of the team joined us at that time. Bob was a water scientist employed by the River Authority to test the springs and risings, to ensure that the quarries were not contaminating the underground streams and rivers that fed the water sources. But Bob was a caver too, eager to see the new Balsh's Cave.
We'll get yourself one of these, Mike. Only 30 bob.
That's alright if you've got 30 bob to spare.
Okay.
What's this, a new bloke? The Boffin?
Yeah, he's a nice chap. Keen to look at the new stuff.
Oh, alright. Hiya, I'm Mike. How you doing?
Mike. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, you must be Bob.
That's right.
Right. We need this right.
Yeah, we need that for Cascade Chamber pitch. Yeah, better take that along.
So do you get underground much then, Bob?
Yeah, I did that Primrose Pot the other day actually. Yeah.
Cool, boy me, is that as bad as they say it is?
Right, it's not too bad if you're skinny, you know.
Oh no, look, it's a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Only 30 bob.
So is this a wet trip then?
Nah, it's just a bit of a puddle we stopped at last time.
Looking good. Here it goes.
You don't go with these good tips either, no?
Ah, no, it's only a bit of cold water, isn't it?
Wow, big chamber.
So that's a report. Okay. Let's see what we got there, lads. Look at it.
There's people ever here. Here we go. Have a look. Yeah.
It looks a bit tight, but I'm giving it a go.
Yeah, have a go. Go on, Mike, get through there. Go on. Get through there, you fat sod. So we saw a bit of that. Come on now.
That's quite tight. You've been there for a brief spot. You have a go.
Yeah, come on, let me see. Oh, he's alright, he's gone straight through. He could be useful, isn't he? Some tight stuff, I know.
Any good for it?
Oh, sorry lads, close this down, doesn't go anywhere.
That's it there,
Yeah. Well, had a good thing anyway.
It's a real shame it doesn't go. You know, never mind, no, they did.
Look up there. Right, definitely looks like a maypole job.
Well, I'm looking forward to the maypole trip actually. I think that could be quite something. Yeah, get the fire up.
There we are, lads. Local caving supplies.
Gonna be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, Steve, no. Good. Okay, that's it. Slap over. Thank you. I got that one. Yeah, well,
This is tight with the end. Right.
It's alright, right?
Okay, let's go for it. Stay there. Steady as she goes. Good ball attention your side. I don't want to put it towards me.
Are you sure this is going to be done now?
Through there. Push the rope.
It's short, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna get a good man to get up there.
I knew I was here for a reason. Yeah. Try it.
Steady, Mike. Careful up there. Careful, Mike.
Could you hold your relief enough? Not a chance.
Hold back in position. There you go.
It's big, lads. It goes. I'll get a ladder together. Bring you up.
Thanks, Mike.
Good man.
Oh, yeah.
Is it promising?
It does, doesn't it? In it goes. What we need is a good man to go first, of course, isn't it?
Well, I was here for a reason then.
Yes, Yes, Mike was first. He had earned that right. Mike was first into Crystal Chamber.
Is out of landing a man on the moon and returning.
In the Isle of Man. Well, I knew that would happen. I mean, I could see it coming. Can't expect them to empty dustbins with motorbikes whipping by every 5 minutes.
We mapped 1,500 feet of exceptionally beautiful cave passage. We took the best photographs we could. We tried to make a record of what was there because we knew that time was running out for Borch's Cave. Ted had done what he could. He moved the quarry to another face and worked there for 2 years. But now the drills and shot holes were creeping closer, and the quarry had nowhere to go but Borch's Cave. Friend, quarryman, caver. It was the hardest thing Ted ever had to do. But what choice did he have? He was caught in the middle, between a rock and a hard place. We didn't take it all, but Cascade Chamber, Maypole Chamber, and our Crystal Chamber were gone forever. The original cave entrance was collapsed and blocked. We knew our attic passage was still there, but we had no way to reach it until we found a new breach in the quarry face and managed to clear a way in.
We're doing all that, right? Just one more run. I think we're in. It's still in. Not too hot to collapse.
Something left.
You know, exploring this cave was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Being here, being the first here. Now look at it.
Well, if it wasn't for the quarry, we probably never would have found it. Would have stayed in the dark forever.
Well, maybe that would have been better.
Can't really find that, mate. in the first now.
It was about that time we lost Hilliers too, blocked by a flow of mud from the crushing plant. It seemed there was nothing left in the quarry for us, so we consoled ourselves with other caver activities. But Bob still had his connection with the quarry. And in August 1967 he was there when a new cave entrance opened just a few yards from where Crystal Chamber had once been. It was the stalactite flows of Crystal Chamber that had ended our exploration of Bulcher's Cave, had placed a precious seal that none of us could raise the hammer to break. What we could not bring ourselves to do, the quarry had done for us. This was the passage beyond Crystal Chamber, the continuation of Bulcher's Cave. We called it WL
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
In 1969, while the eyes of the world were focused far away, we set about finding our new world. The final passage of WL was too tight to pass, but a cold draft blew from the space beyond and promised much, much more to come. As it turned out, that effort was wasted. Not that we were wrong in our expectations, but because the quarry was to provide a much more direct route.
Come on, get a move on. We've got some cave to explore in there. Oh, there he is. Better late than never.
All right there?
Yeah.
How's it going then?
Not too bad at all. You know Glyn and Jeff, don't you?
Yeah, I've seen you down the club a few times, right lads?
Yeah.
Oh, pretty good. How's it going then? Oh. Sure he's got a gap between rock?
Ted said they lost a drill bit up there. It's got to have gone into a cave.
It's definitely drafting.
Yeah. You can feel it. It's cool.
Oh, we can do it, lads.
Alright, yeah, let's see it, Bright.
Okay, see you right then. Oh yeah, if you do find it, let me know, okay?
Yeah, we will, Bright.
Right, good.
It didn't look promising to me, but at 3 o'clock the next morning,
Which window is it? Let's try that one. Yeah, no idea. Try that one then.
What are you doing out here? What's going on? Hold on, Duff. Hold on a minute, Duff. What?
Oh, the cave we were digging out today is gone. It's massive cave there.
Yeah, well, I'll be in a minute.
It's going!
Yeah.
We'll tell you about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Cheers. Go on, boys.
I went with the boys to see their discovery.
Pretty shattered here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why we call it Shatter Cave.
It's a good sized passage.
This is the small bit. Look ahead.
God, yeah, can't see what you mean. Look at this. This is something else. Stunning.
So the flies out there, Bob?
Yeah, it goes up a long way too.
Got to be 40 foot high. Those stones are like daggers.
Superb chamber. Well done, lads.
Wait till you see what's next. Don't spoil the surprise for him. Come on, Jeff, see this. These lads are a bit impatient to push ahead, I reckon. Too right, we are.
Looks good then, does it?
There's a rift. Quite styled up, but looks pushy. Watch out for the roof there, guys, because I think it's a bit loose. Yeah, we're still in the blast side from the quarry. A few more beach, because they're in the corner for them.
No. Good, you didn't tell us this good.
Yeah, sorry we got into trouble last night. You can see all right for that back.
We were all going to get it in the neck from 7 when we got home. Didn't see why you should be left there. Thanks, mate, I'll tell you, said that. Seems better than anything last night, isn't it? No, yeah.
Wow, what a chamber.
It's a special one, that's for sure.
That is lovely.
We can't have combination of canopy, right?
And this is canopy chamber.
Yeah, come on, fire. That was good, right? I got to.
When did you get in here, Mike?
It was well after midnight. Had our first small breakthrough late afternoon. Must got into the first chamber about 9. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I've got one there. Let's have a look, see if we can find it. Got it, yeah. This is as far as we got last night. Look into this. Where did you pass it, mate? Yeah, this is pretty far through. Yeah, what's it? Oh my God, huge. Beautiful formations as well. Yes. Alright. Thanks so for us, man. Wait for us. We're coming. Oh, yeah, we're coming.
I'm through. Right, come on. You've got to see this. Amazing flowstone.
That's nothing. Come on, have a look at this.
It's far, isn't it?
Oh, what have you done?
I don't know what that was.
It's right through. We're all here. Come on, let's go. There's another one here. They're everywhere.
Never seen so many formations in one passage. Still going on. Going back a bit.
You're in static once.
It looks like a forest going to get much of this digging. Right, look at this. Sorry, I'm going to get coloured in that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, sure. What have you got?
I think it might be the way off.
Go ahead, hang on. There's another one here. How's it looking, Glenn?
Can you see a way on?
It's tight, but it goes.
That's alright, let's go. Excellent.
Let's get through again.
Yeah, there's more of it.
Quite big, wasn't it? Hang on.
What have you got there? Worth going on through?
Incredible.
What a chamber!
Glenn? Jeff? What's happening?
quickly.
Wow. So that's cool, right? This is unreal. I reckon I'm going to wake up in a minute. I've never seen flow stone like that.
And I've never seen stone like these. There's a whole little forest of them. Massive, the real hole down here. God, yeah. Skulls too.
Hey, look at these, fantastic! See the shape of this stalagmite?
What classic, right? Look at the roof tube. That's nearly a perfect circle. Come on, lads, it's still going.
Came in passage now.
Good signs, isn't it? Right.
And it just keeps going too.
Hold on, good job, me. Hold on, good job, me. The formations are just everywhere you look. I've never seen a cave working, except for vultures.
It's so much like vultures, it makes you wonder.
If it's part of the same cave. Now, it's a bit clear. Yeah, I think so. That's right. You know, a rock
And I'm bigger than
Some moments in life that you remember in every detail. You can recall every word that was spoken. You never forget how it felt, or who shared the moment with you.
I've got to show you here. Okay, that's my line that one's there. As you can see, we've got one cave system. Fairy, Fernhill, Garlic, Plumbers, Vultures, WL and Shatter. One system, okay?
No doubt about it. But what I want to know, where's Helios Cave going?
Well, I don't know. As part of the jigsaw, we haven't found yet.
As with trapeze artists who insist on doing it in
Where
the day.
did Helios go? That was a question I pondered at some length, until life got in the way.
Thank you, Chief. Trust Sub-Lieutenant Phillips to know about promotion because at this very minute he's being considered for promotion to Lieutenant by an Admiral's Board at Portsmouth.
We needed to get back into the cave if we were to answer that question.
God, bury myself alive here, boy.
And so, 3 years later, in March 1972, our dig from the end of Fairy Cave broke through.
There's a chamber! Big chamber! Back in here, over 10 years, eh?
That's fantastic. It's well worth the effort.
Yeah, with it.
How does it look, Brian?
Oh, damn it, now I'm afraid of this.
What's that?
Totally choked up with mum. There's no chance of getting through.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that then, isn't it?
The quarry sludge still blocked the upstream passage, killing our hopes of exploration in that direction. It seemed that the question, where does Helios go, would remain unanswered. But less than a month later, the quarry, once again, intervened.
Brian, wake up! Wake up, Brian, come on! Wake up!
Oh, what?
What are you doing here anyway? She kicked you out?
Oh, it's like stag night. And I'm not driving after that.
Oh, is he getting married today?
No, not that stupid. Next Saturday.
That's good, he can come too then.
What are you talking about?
Come on, Brian, get up. We're going caving. Where's Mike? It's up there. Mike, come on, get up. Mike, wake up. Come on.
What's going on?
Come on, Mike, we're going caving. You coming?
Oh, bugger off, Bob.
So it's just you and me then, Brian. So what's the rush? Why am I here? I want to keep you alone with my hangover.
We've got a new cave, and it looks just like Hilliers. I think we've found the last piece of the puzzle. So do you want to nurse that hangover, or go caving?
Right, let's
Hey, Bob, look at these helixides. Brilliant.
Cavers always hope for the best and learn to live with disappointment. I'm not sure what we expected to find, but it wasn't this. Withy Hill Cave, filled with stunning formations, stretching almost twice as far as Shatter It was a few months later that the hidden gem of Withy Hill was revealed, a chamber named Green Lake Grotto.
Will the quarry get this far?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Shockwaves will, though, won't they?
Yeah.
Gonna lose it all. What's left of Bolshes, WL, Shatter, and then this.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the quarry with bulges, we wouldn't have found Shatter. If the quarry does continue, we might find other caves.
Oh, and that'll make it alright?
No.
I mean, you know these people, Bob, you work for them. Is there anything we can do or say?
Well, I could give them a slideshow perhaps, show them what's here. But don't get your hopes up. This isn't their only quarry, and it isn't their biggest one. But they've got a lot of money tied up in this place, you know.
All the money in the world. They couldn't make this. Certainly couldn't mend it.
So, Bob went to see the quarry owners to plead our case to the family firm, taking all our hopes with him.
Good afternoon. How do you do?
When you and me were girls, Minnie Colwell, we was heading for divine retribution to flaunt the back of your ankle. Look at them today. 2 more years and the war would...
Thank you all for coming and giving up your time this evening to view this presentation. What I'm going to tell you is a remarkable story of exploration and discovery. What I'm going to show you, I hope, will speak for itself. Can we have the lights down, please? Cave systems linked to St Dunstan's well were more mature than we had anticipated. Walking-sized passages of this type and the many formations. When we entered Balch's Cave in 1961, we were amazed to discover an ancient high-level system consisting of spacious passages and large chambers. Even more exciting was the profusion and quality of the formations. This is Erratic Passage, a spacious gallery adorned with spectacular white shutter cave, we realise today, is a continuation of Balch's Cave and has the same grandeur of passages combined with many exquisite formations. It is particularly noted for the curtains, which are often pictured now in geological technique. Withy Hill Cave is a more recent active system, as illustrated by the scalloped canyon passages. There are many exceptional helictite formations which are quite possibly unique in the British Isles. I'd like to conclude with another picture of Erratic Passage in Balch's Cave. This is what remains of the formations we admired in 1961. It is by the strangest of chances that one small quarry in the Mendip Hills has revealed what may be the most beautiful caves in the British Isles. You, by no choice of your own, are custodians of what we have seen here today. The future of these caves rests with you. Thank you for listening to me. Well, you've seen them on the slides this evening, aren't there? Beautiful places to be, so untouched. You know, there's nowhere left that's like that anymore.
And that started it. And you don't get cold or wet or scared of the dark.
I think sometimes that's part of the fun of the trip.
Thank you so much for bringing your slides. I just hadn't realised how beautiful caves were. These caves mean a lot to you, don't they?
Yes, they do.
I think they've made the decision now.
Interrupt you. Hello? Hello, Mike. No, he hasn't come back yet, no. No, he's been gone quite a long time.
Do you think you can do it?
No, I don't know. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I mean, he said he's going to come straight back here. Okay, as soon as he does, I'll give you a ring back, let you know what's going on, okay?
You let me know, won't you?
Right, I've got to go. Okay, Mike?
You let me know what's happening.
Yeah, I'll give you a ring back. Yeah, I will. Okay, as soon as I know, you should be back soon, okay?
Alright.
Bye then.
Thank you very much. Good night. Bye-bye.
What happened? How'd it go? What happened?
Against all the odds, against all the logic of economics, of business and profit, the owners had made a brave decision to save the caves, to close the quarry, to leave 1 million tons of limestone undisturbed. That was nearly 30 years ago. Today, the quarry is a quiet place, a gash in the landscape, healing year by year under a gentle, creeping greenness. There are fewer quarries on Mendip now, but their scale has grown massively to match our hunger for limestone. Stone leaves by the trainload, the old bones of the earth, destined to become, literally, the foundations of our modern world. So far, the giant quarries have revealed no major caves. Who's to say if that's a good thing or a bad thing? I don't get underground so much these days, but sometimes I take my grandson over to the quarry and I tell him stories about the caves.
Come on, Grandad, I found a cave.
Oh, yes.
Have you been down this one?
I have.
I could tell you some stories about these caves.
I tell him about the adventures we had. In a place called Crystal Chamber. I tell him about the friends I knew then. Some are still my friends, but there's a few we shan't see again.
Come on, Ben. Let's go and get our tea. Grandma will be waiting.
Do you find Grandma down the cave?
Oh, that's another story. Come on, Jim.
Ted used to ring us up at work and say, can we pop over in the evening, come and have a look, there's a new hole here, you know, something's happened, we've lost a drill.
I went down the main shaft and was absolutely amazed at the erratic passage, which was quite extraordinary. The thing I remember about it here was the erratics, but all these hundreds of straw stalactites that were hanging down from the ceiling.
Goon suits were the old submarine escape suits, these bright orange suits that we used to buy them for £1, ex-government.
I didn't have the benefit of a goon suit. I had a boiler suit and got soaked every time I went through the...
In order to get up there, you've got to erect some sort of structure, which is usually made out of sort of lightweight scaffold poles. So that gets just pushed up as high as you can get, and then people sort of hang on and hope for the best, while some poor soul climbs this raving structure. Crystal Chamber was absolutely stunning, wasn't it? I remember, it just struck me that here's a chamber, and you looked around this chamber, and there was no rock. There was no bare rock. It was all stalactite, all colours. Most of it was destroyed in one foul swoop, and we felt absolutely, devastated when it went. So 3 o'clock in the morning, my whole family is woken up by certain gentlemen throwing stones at various windows around the house. It's gone, it's gone. And of course it had, and that was Shatter Cave.
And we gave them a cover slide presentation of what was there now. And that night they made the decision that they stopped calling.